Well, it wasn't a clean sweep, but still an exciting series for the Reds against that other Ohio ball club. We'll talk about it with Mo Egger. Plus,
Guys who throw 100, they don't grow on trees.
A Red Hawk flamethrower. How Miami's star pitcher went from lowly recruited high schooler to major league prospect in just a few years. And a new Bearcat has landed from North Carolina after a turbulent last month. UC has a new head basketball coach, and Keenan Singleton goes one-on-one with him.
From WCPO 9 Sports, this is Sports of All Sorts.
What up? Welcome to Sports of All Sorts. I'm Reggie Wilson. A new week brings new optimism on the Cincinnati sports scene. The Bearcats start anew. FC Cincinnati kicks off a new season with renewed expectations, and the Bengals will unveil new stripes in the morning. Also, the Reds won their third straight home series to start the season. Good vibes only. Even better vibes if the Reds could sweep the team from across the state on Sunday, with the Ohio Cup already secured. Reds wrapping up against Cleveland, hoping for a little more magic today. Wade Miley on the mound, and he wasn't bad, but he'd like to have a few pitches back like this one. 3-run bomb from Roberto Perez, Cleveland up 4-0. Joey Votto swinging a hot bat lately, smacks one into the right field corner to score 2 runs. Votto went 3 for 4 on the day. Shane Bieber struck out 13 to tie Nolan Ryan with the most ever through the first 4 games, but Tyler Naquin, he's unimpressed. Absolute moonshot off his former teammate, his 6th this season, but it's not enough. Reds fall 6-3, first home loss since opening day. After the game, Skip still encouraged about where the team is headed into an off day.
Till the very last out, we believed that we were a swing away or, an at-bat away, which is a good feeling. I mean, we continue to do that. We're going to win games.
All right, my first guest is none other than Mo Egger. Hear him on the radio airwaves every day on ESPN 1530. Mo, thanks so much for hanging out. What's up?
What's up, Reggie? How are you?
I'm good. So, Mo, it's 3 weeks into the season. How encouraged are you by the Reds?
I'm very encouraged. They're 9-6. That's a 600 winning percentage, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what my Kentucky public high school math tells me. They've won 60% of their games. If that continues, this team's going to run away with the National League Central. Offensively, they're in the top 3 or 4 of a lot of different categories in the National League. And look, there are things that are maybe a little bit discouraging about the first 15 games of the season, but Sonny Gray has pitched a grand total of 4 1/3 innings. Luis Castillo has made 3 starts. 2 of them have been abjectly bad, and this team has won 9 out of 15. I think there's a lot to like.
All right, you mentioned Sonny Gray. He came back this weekend, and he was solid. Castillo still needs to find his groove. Amir Garrett has been limited in his action. What do you make of this pitching staff?
Very much a work in progress. They needed Sonny Gray back. I thought he threw the ball okay yesterday in his 2021 debut, but I really feel like this team is going to go as far as that front 3 takes them. Castillo, Gray, and Malley. I love the way Tyler Malley pitched in the game the Reds lost on Wednesday because Johnny Cueto was better, but if I get 25 good starts from each of those 3, I feel like this team's going to be okay. I think the main question for this team, frankly, I think this is what it comes down to. They're better offensively. Now, they're maybe not as good offensively as their home numbers would indicate. Clearly, this team is well suited for a Great American Ballpark. What I'm interested in are the gains they've made offensively, how much are they offset by regression on the pitching staff? Because they don't have Trevor Bauer anymore. They don't have Anthony DeSclafani anymore. That may prove to be a good thing. They don't have Raisel Iglesias or Archie Bradley anymore. This team, top to bottom, from a pitching perspective, is not going to be as good as it was last year. Offensively, though, they will be better, and the early signs are encouraging. They will be better than they were last season. How much do the gains offensively and the regression, if you will, from a pitching perspective, how much do those offset each other? If the answer is not much, then this team's got a legitimate chance.
All right, and so much has been said about TJ Anton too, and so a lot of people think that he has some of the best stuff on the team. So we'll see how he's used down the stretch.
I would agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, we'll see how he's used down the stretch in the bullpen or maybe even cracking the starting rotation. We'll see. But I wanted to switch gears just a little bit. Jay Bruce retired today. What's your favorite Jay Bruce memory?
Well, I think the obvious one for me and for most would be September 28th, 2010. It had been 15 years since the Reds had made the postseason. They were going to win the National League Central, but there was still an air of anticipation and apprehension that night at Great American Ballpark. And he had a pitch in the bottom of the ninth inning off Tim Burdack of the Houston Astros to give the Reds a 3-2 win on clinchmas that officially sent the Reds to the postseason. For the first time in 15 years, it is one of the greatest moments in the history of Great American Ballpark. It might be the greatest moment in the history of Great American Ballpark. And anybody who was there that night, and it was far from a sellout, anybody who was there that night can remember what it was like watching Jay circle the bases, watching him be mobbed by his teammates, and also the feeling walking out of GABP. Now, if I were to extend it beyond that, I'll go back. There are a few Reds who have had the first weeks of their big league careers that Jay Bruce did. He had a 3-hit game in his first big league start. 4 games later, he had a 4-hit game. And at the end of that week, he had a walk-off home run in the 10th inning against the Atlanta Braves on Saturday. I think it was the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. I could be wrong about that. But I'll never forget being at the ballpark that day. And you kind of thought, God, the sky is the limit for this guy. And Jay maybe never reached the heights that a lot of people envisioned, but still, what a great career. Almost 320 homers. He was an all-star a couple of different seasons, a part of 3 different Reds playoff teams. Yeah. He had a great run. But for most Reds fans, he is always going to be identified with the night the Reds clinched against the Astros in 2010, the walk-off home run, one of the best nights in the recent history of the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, Joey Votto called him one of his favorite teammates. Mo, I appreciate your insight. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Okay, Reggie, thanks.
All right. UC's new head coach comes highly regarded as one of the top young coaches in college basketball. Coming up, hear why Wes Miller was eager to take over the job. They rolled out the black and red carpet Friday at Fifth Third Arena. The Bearcats introduced Wes Miller as the 28th men's basketball coach. At just 38 years old, Miller has already led a Division I program for 10 years at North Carolina Greensboro. Once the UC job opened after the dismissal of John Brannon, Miller says he was hoping UC Athletics Director John Cunningham would reach out.
I was waiting for that text. I really was. And I think, you don't get too excited because you know that there's a process, and that doesn't mean that you have any chance to get the job, but it was a good first step. And as the process went on, and I felt like, again, the values really aligned from the leadership in this institution on down, it just felt more right as the process went on. And then, I'm thrilled to be here today.
Coach Miller has already hit the ground running, securing the returns of Mike Saunders and Mason Madsen from the transfer portal. So just who is the guy taking over in Clifton? Keenan Singleton goes one-on-one with him to find out.
Penny in my hand. Want a penny for your thought, of course. Pennies for your thought. I know it's something that you do, or you did at your old program at UNCG. What is the significance of pennies for you and your program, and what you want to instill in guys when you lead them?
Yeah, it's simple. I mean, I talked a little bit about it in the press conference. I'm a big dreamer, but I really believe in working small. And, we talked about it always in the sense of being a one-day-at-a-time program. And what we mean by that is the growth mindset that seems to be a key word you can hear in society now, but just embracing the things that are right in front of you and excelling in the area that's right in front of you. And in a college basketball program, that's like the next set in the weight room. That's the next drill and practice. That's the next study session, the next class. We want to try to just dive into the moment and be excellent in that moment. And if we can do that, I believe, and we put days together doing that, I believe the results follow. And so the pennies in the jar is kind of a metaphor that if we had a practice where we had the right mindset, the right approach, the right effort, the right focus, and we all agreed as a team that we had that kind of practice. Doesn't mean we had to shoot the ball great. Doesn't mean we had to do everything perfect. But if we had the right approach every player on the team that practiced would put a penny in the jar. And the idea was if we can just focus on putting a penny in the jar every day, that jar gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and great results will follow. So I'm sure we'll do something like that here, because I think it just says what we're about, and that's just trying to be excellent in the moment.
A lot of people look around, they see 5 guys on the roster. Doesn't look like the best landscape in college basketball right now. But what do you see when you see this roster, when you see this program?
Well, there's 5 guys on the roster, but there's a handful more that could potentially be back on this roster. So I don't think it needs to be as dire as it appears. The guys that I've talked to that are in the portal, they love Cincinnati. They came here for a reason. They're open to coming back. And I think that we can build with the current players that have been in this program. They already understand what it takes to be successful here because of what they've been through. They know what it's going to take to play against Houston and Wichita State and the other great programs in this league and the great programs around this country. So I think we need to start there. But make no mistake about it, we got to put a great team together, a team that can compete from day one. And we're going to start with these current guys, and then we're going to get out in the recruiting trail and try to put a great team together that can compete. Mike Saunders, saying yes, I think all these guys that don't know me, whether they were in the portal or not in the portal, that say, hey, I'm willing to give you a chance and go 2 feet in with you, that'll touch me, and I'll think about that every day that I coach them moving forward.
The transfer portal, you talked about it a little bit during the press conference there. You mentioned that it will be a tool that this university, that this program will utilize. Kind of from day one, where do you go with it?
There's been a number of young people and high school coaches and summer coaches and people with relationships to prospects already reaching out, and I've kind of just told them, hang on a second, let me make sure and see where these guys in this program are first. They've been through a lot. It's going to be about the players first, and they're the current players here. But after that, we will hit the recruiting trail pretty hard.
It seemed like it was important for you to also get the former players that were pretty vocal about this process of selecting a new head coach here at Cincinnati. Why was that important for you to reach out to those guys?
Well, one of the reasons that this is such a dream job for me is because of what it's already been. The history, the tradition, and not just through one era. I mean, generation after generation, certainly during my basketball lifetime where I can remember it, it was Coach Huggins' teams, Mick Cronin's teams as I've gotten a little bit older. But it goes way back beyond that. This is one of the greatest programs in the history of college basketball. And the people that understand that the best are the people that wore that jersey. They're the most invested. They put their blood, sweat, and tears out onto that court every single night and every single practice to accomplish those things. So this program's going to be about the players. It's going to be about the players first, and I understand that means the former players as well. And so I want them to know I embrace them. They're one of the main reasons that I'm here, and I want them to give me a chance to earn their respect, earn their trust, and to make them proud by what we do here moving forward.
$8 million is a lot of pennies. I'll go and let you keep that one. That one's free from Channel 9 WCPO Sports. Welcome to Cincinnati, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Keenan.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man.
Amen, sir.
Thanks so much, Keenan. So I want to hear from you. What are your expectations for Coach Wes Miller and the Bearcats next season? Tweet me at Reggie Wilson TV and make sure to use the hashtag SOAS. A hot start for the Orange and Blue in Music City Saturday night coming up. We'll talk to Laurel Phaler about her takeaways from Game 1. Welcome back. Major League Baseball's draft was cut to just 5 rounds last year because of the coronavirus. This year, it'll be 20 rounds long. That matters little to Miami pitcher Sam BACHMAN. He's expected to get selected before too many commercial breaks. Kenan Singleton has more.
These men are on standby. Afternoon showers have washed out first pitch in Oxford. 1 o'clock slowly darkens to 8. Miami's Sam BACHMAN is worth the wait.
Guys who throw 100, they don't grow on trees, right?
Brian Hyler should know. He helped 70 amateurs blossom into major leaguers. BACHMAN is next. The Red Hawks right-hander puts 20-plus scouts and their radar guns in the seats anytime he pitches. On this night, he stands and delivers with 11 strikeouts.
you still got to win. You still got to do those things. So rather than trying to impress those guys in the stands and like other teams and thinking about your stock and the draft and everything, I think it's important to just concentrate on winning, because winning solves everything.
As impressive as Bachman's fastball is, he's hit 101 on a radar gun this season. It, along with his wipeout slider and developing changeup, have him climbing up draft boards. The junior is expected to become Miami's first-round pick in July's draft, something no one expected 3 years ago.
Not even close did I ever think that, it would be this. I was always kind of an underlooked guy.
Bachman wasn't even the top pitching prospect on his own high school staff when he committed to Miami and pitching coach Matthew Passor.
And luckily nobody else did either. That's why he's at Miami and not Vanderbilt.
This season he struck out 43 hitters in 26 innings pitched, including a perfect day against Northern Illinois when he K'd all 9 hitters faced.
Like, try to hit this, man. Like, it's the adrenaline's shooting up. Like, I'm going to throw the crap out of it, and it's going to be right there for you, and you're not going to touch it.
Part of his drive comes from his dad, Kevin, who envisioned his son as a catcher while growing up in suburban Indianapolis.
He'd rather go in the weight room on a Friday night versus going out for dinner and a movie, I guess. But, you got to hand it to him, man. It takes a lot of gumption to do those kind of things.
A lot of the driving was done by his mom, Suzanne. It's been a 100-mile-per-hour whirlwind.
Last 6 to 8 months was I starting to think, wow, this is something.
Between Bachman and Heiler, his advisor with Icon Sports, they've spoken to all 30 clubs ahead of the draft. With that fastball, Bachman won't have to wait long to hear his name called. Keenan Singleton, WCPO 9 Sports.
Cooks with gas. I love it, Keenan. Well, FC Cincinnati on the road taking on Nashville SC to kick off their third MLS season Saturday night. It only took Lucho Acosta 8 minutes to get on the board with his new club. That goal makes it 1-0 right away. Less than 5 minutes later, the other newcomer, Brenner, scores on a penalty kick. This club only scored 12 goals all of last season, and they get 2 in less than 15 minutes. But Nashville surges back, and this game ends in a 2-2 draw.
And against sized teams like this, with the ability that they're having, you need to give certain things away, and that's not a problem because that's football. That's how it works. Sometimes you need to fight for that result, and that's what we've done today as well. And it is very important by getting 2-0 up against this team, and also keeping and at the end of the day winning that point. And it's a very important one.
Joining me now is FC Cincinnati beat writer Laurel Pfahler with the Queen City Press. Laurel, thanks so much for taking the time. Very exciting start for the Orange and Blue. Wasn't a win, but not a loss either. So what are your thoughts after taking in the opener?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are really wondering what they should take from that result. They went up 2 goals in the first 12 minutes, and everyone's thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be different this year. The big thing was we saw the 2 big signings score right away, and that's a good sign. It did fall off after that, but the fact that they were able to hold on and get that point on the road in a tough environment against a team that went to the playoffs last year, they gave up 32 shots, 14 corners. So getting that point on the road, I think that's a good sign to start out and be able to pull that out.
Yapsta, I'm pretty pleased with the team's effort. Is this more along the lines of what he wants to see from this group?
I think that he saw last year how, this team would give up goals in bunches. And yeah, they did give up 2 goals and gave up a lot of opportunities to Nashville. But the fact that they mentally were able to get through that, I think that's what he was really praising, was that, this was a team that last year would have just folded at that point. You would have seen that turn into a 3-2, 4-2 loss, maybe. The way that they were giving up those chances, especially in the second half, really testing Przemysław, Titon, and goal. So I think that's what he was referring to, was just them being able to pull that out. That's a different thing that we didn't see last year.
So after last night, what do you feel like is the outlook for this team this season?
Well, I think that a lot of people are looking at the midfield right now. A lot of people are looking at the defense, but really it's the midfield that's going to make the difference. They weren't winning a lot of 50-50 balls. There were some turnovers, so they were actually putting more pressure on the defense. They did struggle On the counterattack, Nashville's very good on counterattacks. And with the way FC Cincinnati's defense plays, with their fullbacks really getting up into the attack, that left them vulnerable when they did lose the ball. Those fullbacks had to track back, and you could see the center backs trying to adjust and figure out who to cover. But that's something they're going to have to figure out, is just how do we cover when these guys go forward? You know, maybe we don't press forward as much as often. You know, those are just things that with more time they'll be able to figure out, and just playing together. It is a lot of new players, so I think we're going to see this team evolve a lot as they just get minutes together on the pitch.
Laurel, always appreciate your insight. Look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thank you for having me. I always enjoy talking soccer with you.
All right, we'll be right back to wrap up the show. Welcome back. Well, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun, but we got to go. I'd like to thank my guests Mo Egger, Keenan Singleton, and Laurel Phaler for joining me tonight. And thank you to my village who helped me put this all together. Thank you for watching. Let's do it again next Sunday. Until then, have a good night and a very blessed week.